Today, we will be talking about the nervous system. If you like corny jokes, I got one for you. How does the spinal cord hammer a nail into a wall? With a series of spinal taps, of course. So, what is your neural network? You should have seen this in your textbook, but it is a pathway or pathways that allow information to travel quickly through the nervous system for these particular activities. An example could be typing or texting. Oftentimes, if you are well practiced, you don't even need to think about where you're going to place your fingers. Similar concept to kind of muscle memory, especially if you play a sport. You probably have heard of this before when I've coached. I always talk about building muscle memory, especially doing things the correct way. How many of you guys think can text without looking? I'm pretty sure probably all of you guys thought or probably said you could do that. Now, how many of you guys can type on a computer without looking? Probably not as many of you guys because you grew up on cell phones, not as much on computers where I can I don't know where the letter keys are if you like test me on it, but yet I can type without looking just because my I've built these pathways, these neurons that fire, right? And so they know where to go. So your nervous system is made up of two parts. You have your central nervous system. Right? This communicates with the body's sensory receptors, muscles, glands through the peripheral nervous system. Right? So the central nervous system is the CNS, the peripheral nervous system is the PNS. So your central nervous system is made up of the brain and spinal cord. Make sure you know that. So if you think about central, what's the central part of your body, right? You got your brain and the spine that goes on the central part. Right, so central nervous system is your brain and spinal cord. Make sure you remember that. That's very important. Your peripheral nervous system is made up of your somatic nervous system and your autonomic nervous system. So your somatic nervous system enables voluntary control of our skeletal muscles. So anything that you choose to do, like writing these notes down right now, walking, anything like that, that's your somatic nervous system. You choose to do that. That's voluntary movements. An autonomic nervous system is something that's done on its own. So a lot of times I call this the automatic nervous system, right? Because you do it automatically without even thinking about it. This controls your glands and the muscles in your internal organs. So like you don't tell your stomach, oh, stomach, process this food right now. It just does it automatically. Right, so how your organs work, that's your autonomic nervous systems because you don't have to tell it to work. It just does it on its own. And now the autonomic nervous system is broken up into two parts. Your sympathetic nervous system, which arouses and expends energy, and your parasympathetic nervous system, which conserves energy as it calms you. So your sympathetic nervous system, like whenever you're going to use this like when you're playing a sport, if you get scared, something like that. But you can't go 100 miles an hour all the time. Your body can't function like that. So if you get scared, now all of a sudden your heart starts to beat, right? So if your sympathetic nervous system goes off and you become aroused, that's when your pupils might dilate, your heart starts to beat real fast, things like that. But you can't do that all the time. That's not how we work. So you have to calm down. When you calm back down, that's called your parasympathetic, right? So that conserves energy that allows you to function. So then your pupils would contract again, your heartbeat slows down, things like that. This is a great flow chart to kind of remember the nervous system because it's broken down into quite a few different parts. So you have your nervous system overall, right? That's broken up into two different things, your central nervous system and your peripheral nervous system. Now, your peripheral nervous system is then broken down into two parts. You have your autonomic nervous system, which controls self-regulated actions of internal glands. Remember, these things happen automatically. And then your somatic nervous system, which controls voluntary movements. Now, your autonomic nervous system, it also has two parts to it as well. Your sympathetic, which is your arousing part of it, right? That's your pupils being dilated, your heart beating faster. And then you have your parasympathetic, which calms you down. So your pupils are contracting, your heartbeat slows down. And then lastly, there's a couple different types of nerves you should know about. You have your efferent nerves, which start with an E, right? Your efferent nerve fibers, these are also known as your motor neurons. So these carry nerve impulses away from the CNS to the muscles or glands. All right, so remember your CNS is your brain and your spinal cord, right? The central things in your body. So they carry messages from your brain and they tell your muscles what to do. So when you move, your brain is literally telling your foot, to take a step. If you go to shoot a basketball, right, it's your brain telling your arm, your legs, your whole body to move in the way to shoot a basketball. And then you have your afferent nerve fibers. These are known as your sensory neurons. They carry nerve impulses from receptors or sensory organs towards your CNS. So let's say you touch something hot. Well, the skin receptor on your skin, or I should say more your sensory neurons, your sensory receptors on your skin, send those to your brain, right? First it goes to your spinal cord, then it goes to your brain. So a lot of people get these two confused because, they're the same word except for what they start with, the E or the A, kind of like the effect or affect thing in English class. So remember, efferent nerve fibers are motor neurons. So if you're going to be moving, your brain has to tell your muscles what to do. So it goes from your CNS to your muscles. Afferent is your sensory neurons. Therefore, it goes from your sensory receptor cells, whether it's your smell, touch, taste, anything like that. It goes from those receptors to your brain to be processed. And then the last thing we have is reflexes. So reflexes is just a simple automatic response to a sensory stimulus, usually caused by quickest neural pathways. So we talked about these neural networks, and the more you do something, the stronger you build of these neural networks, and the more you build. And so it's very important. We'll learn about this next unit when we talk about development and babies, how you want to build as many neural networks as possible and use them as much as possible, because then your reflexes are better. So you want to do that as much as possible, and hopefully you develop quick reflexes. And then I'll have a couple of videos I will post to the YouTube channel to further show the nervous system and a couple of parody songs to go along with it.